Good morning, River Ridge. Today is Thursday, April 4th, 2024. Happy National Carrot Day.
Now would you all please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Today's lunch will be taco nachos, jazzed up refried beans, salsa, peaches, PB&J box, entree, salad.
Tomorrow's breakfast will be breakfast bread, banana bread, blueberry bread, lemon bread, pumpkin bread, apple slices, 1% low-fat milk, non-fat chocolate milk.
We love to have more Leader of the Pack awards. Turn those into Mrs. Ewald.
Today's quote is, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken."
Yes, Isaac, I think this quote means to be that there is nobody better than yourself, being yourself.
Have a good day, and remember the RRE expectation. Respect, responsible, and everyone safe.
Stay tuned, and each day we'll be sure to announce all compliment milestones here. Congratulations to Miss Morgan's class reaching 175 compliments. Way to go. 275. Way to go.
And now for the birthdays.
Today's birthdays are Nicholas Rash, Reagan O'Donnell, Michael Courage, and Emery Hansen. Over the spring break birthdays are on the 6th is Jonathan Williams, Ray Hazel Johnson, Marilyn Prez, Andy Kalen.
Good morning, River Ridge. We do have some buses that are unloading right now. Those students will be getting their breakfast and bringing it to the classroom. Once again, we still have students walking into the building right now, and they will be getting their breakfast and going to the classroom with it. Thank you.
Over the 7th birthdays are Endon Kalen, Adele, Elizabeth Adele Myers, Patrick O'Connor, Ava Clark. Over the 8th birthdays are Patrick O'Connor, Ava Clark, and Norma Beach. Sorry if I said your name wrong.
Happy birthday, the song never you. Happy birthday from Lucy to you. Happy birthday.
Today's weather will be high of 44 degrees and a low of 36 degrees and a rainy day.
Now would you please join us in saying the River Ridge?
Congratulations to the following students for winning the poster drawing from the book fair. Congratulations to Quentin from Mrs. Stanley's class, Avriana and Mrs. Yost's class, Noah and Mrs. Wright's class, Marshall and Mrs. Lincoln's class, Ayla and Mrs. Shearer's class, Miriam and Mrs. Stammer's class, Hersey and Mrs. Stamper's class, Matt and Mrs. Henning's class, Gabby and Mrs. Stoker's class, Yarley and Mrs. Wagner's class, Jeremy and Mrs. Gremmy's class, Jacqueline and Mrs. Stammer's class, Weston and Mrs. Cox's class, Adalyn and Mrs. Stanley's class, Easton and Mrs. Baker's class, Chris and Mrs. Stamper's class, Miles and Mrs. Stamper's class, Ethan and Mrs. Stammer's class, McKinley and Mrs. Tumanella's class, Colton and Mrs. Lakeham's class, Carter and Mrs. Morgan's class, Jerome and Mrs. McCormick's class, Angel and Mrs. Cox's class, and Dalton and Mrs. Stammer's class.
Okay. And now would you please join us in saying the River Ridge promise?
As a River Ridge student, I promise to take responsibility for learning and strive for success. I will choose to act in a safe, healthy manner, respect others and property. Above all, I remember the best of myself. It's not